like the Scarlet Letter. Like
Right.
how old is the Scarlet Letter, and we're still doing that now?
McCarthyism.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
This is something that we're prone to it.
Do you think it's because people are scared that they're going to get called out on it themselves? So when they see someone who's doing something wrong, they go after them, attack them with everything they have to almost to divert any sort of, because people are scared that people are going to turn on them, especially in this day and age when people turn on people for, like, the Garrison Keillor story? He's the saddest story in this Me Too stuff. Because Garrison Keillor is a guy who had the Lake Wobegon Chronicles, is this PBS show, this radio shows ongoing for decades, and he's a writer, and he hugged a woman. He was consoling her. He hugged her, and apparently while he was hugging her, his arm went down her back, on her back. And he apologized. She pulled away. He apologized. He sent her a letter. He apologized. He said, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that." She says, no worries. Don't worry about it. Years later, when all this Me Too frenzy, she brings this up. He gets fired. They pull his name off the show for touching a girl's back. It's like the frenzy was so hot. They didn't want to be accused of not doing anything, so they pulled this guy.
I know.
And there's the worst side of it, right? There's the Harvey Weinsteins of the world. There's the people that are absolutely monsters, right? There's those people. But then there's people that just got caught up in the wave of outrage. And it's a strange time. Like there's no balance to it.
Well, the pendulum is going to swing until our attitudes balance out. I mean, the Me Too movement is not a bad thing because it's bringing up some serious issues that we've had in our society.
Thing.
It's a great thing to happen. So,
Yeah.
But in the meantime, there's going to be collateral damage for that until we now get back to a time where we can, men will act like gentlemen, and we'll be able to have interpersonal relationships with women at work and in a setting and make it professional. But at the same time, we also don't want a sterile environment. When you go to these seminars, because even for our show now, because of all this, you have to have a sexual harassment meeting before you start.
Well, they had those in the 90s.
Exactly.
Man. I went to those for Hardball, a show that I was on in 94.
But one of the things they always say, because you can't define this,
right?
You know it when you see it.
Well, that's what they used to say about pornography.
But that's what we've lost, that ability to understand that. I think that applies
but legally, that's not a good definition. It's a problem.
I know, but that is the definition.
Right.
It's the same thing that goes with oversensitivity. I think that too.
Right.
We should know it when we see it. And we're not recognizing that. It's you're acting, this is a bit much right now sometimes.
Did you hear about the two college kids that got drunk and had sex, and the boy, upon waking up and sobering up, decided to preemptively accuse the girl of sexual assault because he was intoxicated? So he filed and went after her. She got suspended from school. They had to do it because otherwise, they would be sexist, because they do it all the time if it's a boy and a girl. It's always thought that if a boy, do you know the Occidental College story?
Mm-mm.
It's a pretty famous story from a few years back where these two kids, they were in college. The guy texts the girl, I'm coming over. She's like, do you have condoms? He says, yes. So clearly intent has been established, right? Goes over, has sex with her. Her friends convince her because she was intoxicated that it was sex under the influence, so it was rape. And so she goes to the university officials, and they suspend the boy. He sues and wins, and the whole thing's chaos because this kid gets kicked out of fucking school. Actually, did he win? I need to know that if he won.
Yeah, let's check.
I think he
fact
did.
Check.
Yeah, let's fact check that. Occidental.
But now you got to have now to even interact with them, when you have to have a notary.
Well, that's what they're saying is that people
video. I consent to.
So here's where it gets even screwier. There was a real article the other day that was saying, is it physically possible for two people to simultaneously sexual assault each other? And they're debating this in a college because they're trying to figure out if two people are both drunk and they get together and they're both sloppy and fucking hammered and they decide to have sex, do they both sexually assault each other?
Isn't this really about choices that we make?
Well, it's also about taking responsibility for your actions if you're an adult. If you decide to get in your car and you're drunk and you plow into a bus and kill a bunch of people, no one says, oh, Eric was just drunk. He is not responsible for his actions. You're responsible for your actions if you're drunk, if you're driving a car and you kill somebody. But the idea is that if a girl comes over your house and you're drunk and, you're not responsible for your actions then, or especially if you're a girl and you're drunk, you're not responsible for your actions then. if you're having sex with a guy. But you're definitely responsible for your actions if you're a girl and you get in a car and drive and hit someone and kill them.
But at the same time, though, like a girl or anyone should be allowed to be with her friends or with his friends, and you get sloppy drunk.
And you're protected. People take care of you.
You should be. It's not okay that somebody decided to like go further with it.
Well,
you know.
Well, the most egregious case is obviously Cosby, because that was his thing. I mean, if he did do what everybody's accusing him of doing, and we have no reason to think he didn't, he was taking people that thought of him as a mentor and thought that he was going to help their career, and that was his hustle, and he would just drug them, and they'd wake up with their pussy sore and their fucking pants off and not knowing what happened and be super confused. It's horrible. I mean, that's the worst version of it.
That's the worst version
right?
of it. And then, but then it's like, you know, this is one of those things where I'm saying it's like that it's hard to define. There's no like riddle definition. Right. You can't put it down in writing to say like this is what this is, because then you got a situation where you're out on a date with someone, things are going well, you think it's going well, you get into bed, and then that person for whatever reason decides, I think we should stop. I don't want to do this anymore, and that could be on the same level as drugging somebody.
The Aziz Ansari case.
Or clubbing them on the head.
That girl writes that crazy fucking story, the 5,000-word story.
That Aziz Ansari thing is just about him not being a gentleman.
Right.
That's all that was.
Not just that, but she was just grossed out by it and decided to go after him.
But, you know, I can understand being in a situation, like you know, people got on the woman because they were like, you know, well, hey, you still blew him 3 times, right?
Yeah.
But I understand that being in a situation where you're like, because this happened to me, all right? I was at a comedy club, you know, I told this girl, this is years ago, I told this guy, I said, she was like, I'm coming back to your hotel. Like, you know, no, I don't think you should. I didn't want to. I wasn't.
She forced herself on you?
It wasn't, let me explain.
Imagine if you were a girl. That's where it gets really scary.
But first of all, everything she's saying to me this whole night up to getting to my hotel, if I would have done that to a woman, is assault, abuse, like threatening from the jump.
So you ever heard Ali Wong talk about this?
I mean, no, but this is what happened to me. So I say to her, I was like, I wasn't really into her at the time. I was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. You know, I think you should go home, you know? And then she's like, no, I'll walk you to your hotel. Because we were hanging out, everybody's hanging out this place after the Sunday night show, you know? I said, okay. We get to the hotel. I go, well, thanks for walking me, but I think you should probably, no, you know.
I'm going to clean your dick with my mouth.
Yeah, you know, I was like, that's, you know, it's like, I'll give you a massage. It was all this kind of stuff.
Whoa.
I'm like, I think you should go. I'm not really, and then my ego kicks in because I'm like, well, you know, all right, you like me like this, okay. So we finally get upstairs. I still am like, maybe we shouldn't do this, you know? And then she starts to like, it's because you're not into me. It's because I'm hideous or whatever. So now I felt like, I have to fuck her. I felt like I gotta do this. No. It's like I had to do this because I don't want to come across like I'm, you know, what I'm saying about the reason how I apply this to the Z situation is the fact that this girl is in a situation where she feels like, I guess I have to do this. Like, I may not want to do it.
No, we're speculating.
You know, I'm just saying, I've been in a situation where I didn't necessarily want to do it, but I felt like the social pressure of like, well, may I have to follow through with what I'm doing now.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, that's definitely probably.
And then in the morning, I had to fly. When we're not even in the morning, I said, we're finished. And I said, hey, you know, you got to go because I got to pack. And she started to cry.
Oh, boy.
And I thought if this was happening now, this could be a situation. It could easily be she could tell her story differently. So we don't know. That's why there's no rules. What this lady did was she was aggressive and flirting, and she wanted what she wanted, and she got it. You know, so that sometimes is okay, depending on the person that you're dealing with. But that same situation with someone else could be, no, this was horrible.
Right.
I felt intimidated. I felt, you know, it's all in how you interpret it.
Yeah, it's definitely. It depends on who's talking and whether or not you're attracted to each other. Like, here's a perfect example. If you and your girlfriend decided to get drunk, and your girlfriend was drunk, and she called you up and said, "Come on over. You know, I'm horny. I want you to fuck me." If you went over and did it, you would, in some people's eyes, be guilty of sexual assault because she was drunk and she couldn't consent.
And this is why I'd never done that, by the way. one of my ex-girlfriends was like that. She wanted to get drunk.
Really?
She was like, I just want to have sex when I'm drunk. I just couldn't do it. I
Wow,
didn't
because you were nervous about it?
It wasn't about. It was just me personally. I don't drink.
Oh, you don't drink at all?
I don't drink at all. So
okay.
I always felt like if I'm not drinking, it just feels like, what if she says she wants to do something that like she doesn't normally want to do?
Right.
And then she's gonna get sober and be like, why did you do that to my butthole or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, why? And you're like, what? But you said, she goes, because it'll always come back to, well, I was drunk.
Right.
And I didn't really mean, then I'm like, okay, I don't want to be the choice maker in that situation.
Well, that's the best thing about not drinking, right? In that situation, if you don't drink, you never have to think like that.
But that's why sometimes I don't want to
with.
hang out. That's why sometimes I don't want to hang out with people that are like, that get dumb drunk. You're out, and then I become responsible.
Oh well, it's the worst when you're sober.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, I don't want to deal with this
because their behavior is so fucking gross.
Gross.
Yeah.
Then you see your friend, especially if you have like a female friend. You're not like that with them.
Right.
But then you're out. And then she's, her skirt's coming up, and you see the creepy guy. You see the guy that she's like, I'm gonna go with this. You're like, oh man, what do I do right now? Like, if I don't stop her from going, and then something happens that she doesn't want to happen, is it my fault? What if you do
stop her, and she's like, you're a fucking hater.
Right.
I love him.
Yeah,
he was so cute, and we were gonna have an amazing time, and you fucking hater.
All this Harvey Weinstein and all this kind of shit, it set ugly dudes back like 20 years. All my advances that I've made with hot chicks has just been like, I'm so glad I have a girlfriend during this time. But you're not in a position of
power. Here's the thing. It's not about ugly. It's about Harvey Weinstein being in control of a studio.
Exactly.
And scaring all those girls into fucking them and allegedly raping some of them. I don't know what he did or didn't do, but he definitely did a lot of shit.
I just wish that a lot of these people, maybe now people will have the courage to like, come out, because it sucks to hear about, like, this happened to Angelina Jolie, and then like, so then there was a certain time when she was like the most famous woman in Hollywood,
and she didn't say
anything.
Still didn't
say anything.
Yeah.
So it sucks that we live in a
blackballed.
I know it sucks that we live in a culture like, so that maybe that's why some innocent people are getting caught in the crossfire, so we can obliterate this sort of behavior and attitude from our culture. But in the meantime, while we're going through this, there's going to be some killers, and there's going to be some people that are going to get caught in the crossfire.